Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Spanning the Need. I am your host, Anthony Spano. Tonight, we got a guy who is a master of all trades, knows what he's doing, and got a lot going on. Here, we have Dave Spano, the host of Game Fix Show podcast. He's also on the Cleveland Browns broadcasting crew that travels with the Browns. He's a radio producer for CBS Radio, and he also hosts another podcast, Mortal Kombat Minute. Dave, and my cousin, Dave Spano. Dave, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you, Tony. I appreciate it because, actually, one thing I wanted to correct, it's no longer CBS. They just recently changed to Odyssey. So just not that.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Just like Clear Channel going to iHeart.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So that recently happened for us.
Yeah. Yes, everyone, the names match. He is my cousin.
It's true.
Dave, we got a lot to talk about, and
Sure.
I think people may not understand unless we'll have to find out if they do. Talk a little bit. If people don't know you, but what is your background? Kind of talk about your journey and your career up to where you are now.
Sure. When I graduated high school, I went to a school called the Ohio Center for Broadcasting. It's now called Ohio Media School now. But I learned the craft. I did what I had to do. I had the internship, you name it. And then I eventually got hired at Clear Channel, like you kind of mentioned before. And I was there for about 9 years. I did, I ran board. I did a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I did a little bit on the air. I did, some commercial voicing and stuff like that. But my biggest thing was with the engineering department, where I got to go on different like live remotes and set up broadcasts. I mean, you name it, at a bar, at a concert, you name it. I've been, and I've probably been there in Cleveland. But yeah, so I did that, and then I'll make it brief, and then we can kind of go into it where you want to do it. And then, like I said, after that, I went to CBS Radio. Where eventually they became Odyssey, where I'm at now. I'm at 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, and I also work with, like you said, the Cleveland Browns broadcast, where I actually travel everywhere the Browns go, except for last year, but that's not a big surprise.
Yeah, with pandemic, now they're saying, well, maybe we won't need you guys to travel anymore because you guys can do it from home.
Well, we can. The problem is like, the feeling isn't there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Jim Donovan, he's the, play-by-play. He is one of the most professional people I've ever worked with in my life. When it comes to like him doing the broadcast, I feel like I'm kind of speaking for him too when I say that, like, being there is totally different. There's a feeling to it. The play is right there in front of you, as opposed to on a TV screen, how we broadcast all of last year, which was a little rough. But like I said, Jim is such a consummate professional that it almost sounded like he was there. He's that good. So I guess I'm just lucky enough to have somebody like that where, I run his sound and I'm proud of it. You know what I mean? It's good. It's good.
Well, and I think
that's kind of my career in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, and you kind of branched over to a couple different things. And like you mentioned, you were working with Kiss up in Cleveland at one time as the engineer, because I know you were at different locations on their Saturday night live thing. Because I remember I'd go up to Cleveland I think that probably had to be over 15. Well, I would say 12.
2006.
Yeah, that'd be 13, 14 years for me. Let's just not do my age here. But I think what it shows is that you kind of know the industry. You've been around the industry. You kind of know the ins and outs of it. And I think that's what shows just your passion for what you do.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, when it came to doing live remotes, it gave me the opportunity to kind of move up in my career, which is funny because for a long time, I didn't think I was going to. I was just going to be steadfast and do what I had to do. But, about 9 years ago or so, when I got hired at 92.3, I had the opportunity to actually run the sound for Tom Hamilton in the booth for the Indians, which I did for a whole season. I was there for 81 home games. I did not travel, but I was there for 81 home games, and I got to see every single Indians game in the stadium with Tom Hamilton in my ear the entire time. So really, when it comes to anybody watching the Indians, it was 100% without a doubt. I know it was the best seat in the house, because like the dream is to watch the game and to listen to Tom. Usually it's, the only way you watch the game is to hear like the TV broadcast. So in this case, it was a very cool opportunity with that. But with that opportunity arose, it just happened to be a year after the radio station that I work at actually got the Browns as an affiliate, or they became an affiliate to the Browns rather. The flagship in this case, because it's local. And I was lucky enough, just because I had the experience in a booth, in professional sports doing audio and that, where I just kind of fit in, and I was almost a shoo-in. I don't want to say that. I could be.
Don't want to jinx that. Don't want to jinx it.
I mean, I've been doing it for about 8 years now, so I don't think the jinx is in at this point, but. They want me to do it again this coming year, which is good because, dare I say, Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, we're not going to go there. Well, and it's funny you say that, because about a month ago we had Felix right on from the Cleveland Browns, and we had a panel. We had a panel from some of the sports media guys about who they were going to draft, and we had a lot of people watching it, so that we're going to be looking at a couple different things in the fall with the Browns. But it's interesting to see what they do and kind of how they look at it.
I agree.
But and so let's get down, crap, the season's only in 2 months. Well, let's see, month and a half. Technically about a month.
Yeah, the draft is upon us, right? I mean,
the draft's done.
Oh, the draft, right? We're at
it. Draft's done, but then
for me, when the draft happens, that's when the season starts. At least that's some people say like OTAs, some people say whatever, but like when the draft happens, that's when the season starts. So we are amongst the season at this point.
Exactly. What do you think your kind of one of your best memories of working for the Browns and the Indians have been so far?
I would have to go with the Browns. I mean, the Indians, like I said, it was awesome just because I was at every game, but it was just a home game. I've been to Progressive Field, which is called now, probably more times than I could even think about, so, but the fact that I got to work in the booth and do all that, like that was just a cool experience. But I would say, for me and the Browns, actually I have it right here.
Oh boy.
What am I getting? This was probably my, as you can see, this is a flag that I got when I was in London.
The London trip.
Yeah. So pretty cool. It's just like a little flag. Actually, like everyone kind of got it. Technically, we really didn't get it, but there was a couple laying on the ground that I kind of swiped up, and here we are. Like they're for the fans, but I mean, I'm a fan at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
I will try to edit that section out so no one.
No, don't edit that. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Dude, ask for it back. I don't.
5 years later.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna ask for it back.
Well, and that's actually a good. What seems to kind of how you rotated from what you're doing to now being the host of Game Fix Show podcast. Talk a little bit about Game Fix, because people may not know that video games are coming back. I mean, I know we were talking about how video games maybe been 5 years, but it's from what I'm getting and what the research I did, they're coming back like 7 to 8 years ago.
Well, it's funny. I'm glad you mentioned it too. I host the Game Fix Show. It's a podcast where we do it every. Actually, we just started doing it Sunday nights. So we do it Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GameFixShow. There you go. There's my little my little
easy promo. Enough.
Yeah,
slash.
Yeah,
backslash.
A little backslash. And at Game Fix Show if you want to find us anyway.
Or Google it like everyone else does.
Game Fix Show. But I've been doing the show for about 6 years now. So it's definitely a love of mine. And my co-host is named Verlaine. We've been doing the show for about 6 years now, and we grew up with video games, as you know, Tony. I mean, I can kind of embarrass you a little bit, right? Like when coming over to your house when we were kids, we used to go in the basement and fire up the Top Gun or fire up Mario Brothers or whatever it was. Those were definitely my earliest memories of gaming, as like, because I enjoyed it so much. Like I and everybody that I played with is obviously somebody I love, so it was an easy transition. Although as much as I have the memories with you and I, and playing tackle football in the living room or anything like that,
in the family room with a beanbag and some pillows.
You remember, but I actually, when it comes to like what got me into gaming, I honestly think it's my father, or your uncle rather. He one night came home with an Intellivision.
Yeah,
an old school, kind of on par with Atari, and he came home probably like midnight, 1 a.m. and I got up because I heard him come home, and we hooked it up and we played Pac-Man for like an hour, like till like 2 a.m. And Pac-Man was the first game I ever played, and it was definitely one of those growing points of my life where I was just like, you know what, I really enjoy this. And ever since then, I've gotten every game, not every game, but like, every console, I've played them all. And you know what, I'm not done yet. Keep them coming. I'm 37 years old and I don't really care. I love to play video games, but I look at it like, it's so funny because people are so weird about gaming. There's a stigma about gaming that when you game, you're lazy, right? Like you sit on.
Not anymore. Not anymore. And one thing I will say this: over the last several months, when I've been on Facebook, I've seen these update gaming. People are driving these semis. I'm like, what are these? And they're getting 5,000 views at the same. I'm like,
yeah.
Is it? And I guess either people have nothing better to do, or gaming is really
what they want to do. I think it's what they want to do. I don't think it's like, hey, I'm bored, let's just watch this. I think it's, they don't have cable. They don't have it. All they have is a computer and internet, and what they want to see is people gaming on their favorite game or a game that they haven't played before or whatever. But like I was saying, when somebody sits down for like 6 hours and plays video games, and I'm guilty. It's happened in the past, and I'm sure it will happen in the future.
And what's the wife say?
She doesn't care as long as it's like, not during, we're doing something important or something like that. Like I'm pretty good about playing like when she goes to bed or something like that. Like
2 in the morning.
To myself, it's like totally my, it's like my little let go. But what I'm saying is I totally compare it to somebody that just sits and streams a show for 8 episodes. And it's so funny because like for me, I view gaming as more of a mental exercise than just my brain is melting like the stigma used to be, right? So when you're sitting there and you're just watching a show, to me that's more like your brain is melting. You know what I mean? You're just sitting there for 8 hours or whatever, just streaming, just binging this show, where I'm playing a video game for maybe that long and my mind's going. I'm solving problems. I'm doing different things, hand dexterity, hand-eye coordination, you name it. Everything that goes into it, it's actually, for me, it's
definitely
one of the best things I have for my brain. I feel like if I didn't have yeah, it does. If I didn't have video games, I really wouldn't be where I am today. It's honestly, there's a lot that I will say that video games have done good for my life.
I remember playing Top Gun, Tecmo Bowl,
blowing into carts.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be Nintendo. Like I still do it. We have a small Nintendo here, and every once in a while we'll play, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. Gotta blow
it just put it back in. If that don't work, you blow in the machine.
Even though very, very uncommon, people don't know there's actually a label on the back of at least most video games, and it tells you not to do that. You know that,
not
right?
to blow.
But I don't know any other way usually to get it to work. So, and I've been playing games for a long time, so my advice would be blowing it. That would be my advice.
Yeah, it just what so during your show, what are you guys doing during your show? So people kind of understand what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's mostly news, you know. So we talk gaming news. With and that's probably about I would say 60% of it. So like 60, a good amount is us talking about what's new, what's hot, what's going on today. We also do reviews on some video games. We have a Patreon. Where you know, people, if they're not familiar what Patreon is, it supports whatever endeavor you might be doing monetarily. And we give them extra stuff, like we've done some movie reviews, so we've kind of branched out and done a couple other things, but in order to listen to those, you'd have to go and become a Patreon and actually listen to that type of stuff. Anytime we have an interview like this, like you and I, we always and you were talking about how whenever a host is on before you start, you talk. What can we talk about? What can we not talk about? What do you want to mention? Whatever, you know, and I get that. Then that's a really good thing to do. But what we do as a podcast is we actually offer that side that you didn't even hear on the air on our Patreon. So like, you know, so you would go to the Patreon and you would listen to us just BSing about whatever, you know, whatever it is. I don't know if you can cuss here, but like about, you know, whatever it is. Sometimes we ask questions that we didn't ask on the air that is fun, and you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so glad I know that. And the only way you would know that is if you would listen to that. So you know, there's a lot of different ways to kind of get people to listen and all that, but our biggest endeavor with our show is we actually broadcast it live. It is 100% live, and we do it on our Facebook page Sunday nights at 9. So yeah, it's fun, and there's a chat room. You can go in there. You can tell us how bad we're doing or how good we're doing, and that's fine too. Or, you know, tell us what you're playing. That's really what it comes down to. We want to know.
Well, and have you played games online? Because that seems like while these shows, because it's real, like we were talking about, like these guys or girls I've seen playing video games of a variety of different stuff, and so I will assume, talking with you and hearing that the gaming industry has become even bigger during the pandemic.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
What can you tell us about how, like, has sales increased? Because a lot of these are online too.
Yeah, I don't have the exact stats, but I do know for a fact that it was funny because obviously when it came to movies and shows and everything, the stock kind of plummeted, if you will. And because, you know, it wasn't safe to do, although what was really safe to do was to sit on your butt and play video games. And there was a lot of, I mean, not to mention there were a lot of games that were pushed back because of COVID. And, you know, just because people couldn't get to the office or, you know, wherever they were to create the game. And I guess that's totally understandable. Although there's games out there that we can now do virtually, like we're doing this podcast here. You know, so like I know a couple of guys in the gaming industry that never see an employee. They do everything from home. They create games, you name it. Everything that they do is from home. So with that, the gaming industry boomed over the last year because people were home and they were trying to look for stuff to do. And I totally understand that. And gaming nowadays, it may as well be a movie. There's so many games out there that when you play it, 50% of it is like movie, like you're playing it, but then all of a sudden there's a cutscene, so there's storyline or something that needs to unfold so you can get to a certain point. But like it's so funny because people, you know, my wife is a big book reader. I don't read books. I'm just not. I can't remember.
I'll speak a book. I'll speak a book.
Yeah, right. I can't do it. So the way I say it always
two
is,
of us.
How I always say it is I actually get my stories from video games. And there's so many, like, the video games, they're so story driven and so story rich, and it's amazing. And I would really love and challenge somebody out there that has never really played it and that thinks that gaming is a waste of time. And that's fine. I'm not going to try to like skew anyone thinking, but I challenge them to at least try a new game. Sit down and play one. And you tell me that if it's a waste of time, if you still think it's a waste of time, that's fair. Do it. You could say that it's a waste of time, but I'm telling you right now, once you're done playing it, you're going to realize that, wow, that story was so good. It was so like intense, or it was whatever. One game that comes to mind, The Last of Us 2 that came out this past year. The game made me cry multiple times, like to the point where like I had to stop playing it because I was so emotional. And that's what video games do. Like nowadays,
like a soap opera.
yeah, it really is. It's like, back in the day you had Pitfall, or you had
Yeah. Oh, darn. Oh.
whatever, but like, and there wasn't much of a storyline. It was just like, here's the game, start playing, right? But nowadays,
Donkey Kong.
yeah, which is a great game, but there's no storyline. It's like, okay,
exactly.
the gorilla stole the woman, now you got to get him back. That's the only storyline. But with games nowadays, I mean, there is so much. There's history, there's lore. You play Assassin's Creed, you play anything like that, like there's so much more behind video games. And I'm hoping people can feel the passion that I have for games itself, because I do. It's actually one of my biggest loves in my life, apart from my wife, of course. But like, it's a non-human thing, I guess, is the key.
Well, it's funny because we talk about games and yeah, your background. That's a real background. That's not a picture.
Those are all mine.
We talk a little bit about like games in general, how a lot of them are online. You can sit in your basement or your living room and you can be bad mouthing someone across the world. Yeah. And it like these stories you hear, and or even the notion of VR, virtual reality, which I feel that like that would be my thing. Like,
have you tried it?
I play video. I have not. I've always wanted to. Like where I'm actually in the video game, like the Tom Clancy stuff, where I'm.
You got to come over.
Okay.
I'll have to show you. I actually have the PSVR, the PlayStation VR. And it's not the greatest virtual reality in the world, but I'm telling you right now, it's a great starting point for anyone that's ever like never done it before. It is definitely the next step in video games, at least in my opinion. And actually, and I speak for my whole podcast. Like my co-host, he would agree as well that VR is the next step in gaming, because one thing is just playing with your hands, right? You're just playing with your hands, and that's fine, and you're just thinking about what you're doing, right? But it's another thing to actually like swipe, or you know what I mean. You're using your arms, you're using your legs, you're using your head, you're using whatever it is. And there's
like a workout.
Yeah, there's actually games that kind of give you a workout. I think the one that comes to mind is Beat Saber. And if you're familiar with Guitar Hero, when the note came, you had to play it. In this case, they're boxes, and you have like essentially like Star Wars lightsabers in your hand. But obviously VR, so you just have these controllers in your hand. But in the VR, they're these long swords, right? And when the boxes come, you hit them during each.
Right. I've seen some of that.
It's like fast, and it like, man, I sweat when I do it. So yeah, it's a great workout. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen some of my friends do like the Call of Duties, and where they got the big screens and you're talking to friends and they're teaming, and those are great. There's nothing wrong with that. And it seems that the notion of it is that games are becoming bigger and bigger, because at one point they were starting to decrease. Probably I would say about 15 years ago. When I was probably getting out of college, they were not where they were because either the technology was not there yet, or the notion of, hey, playing video. We played Madden and all that, but after a while, it was just a normal game like a Tecmo Bowl, but a little bit more advanced.
Sure.
So I think that was the increase of like that kind of took them to the next level.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy, because like, for me, like probably like mid 2000s, once like I was out of high school, and that I was still very much into video games as much as I was as a kid, having a Sega Genesis, having a Nintendo, having whatever,
Yeah, Sega, Nintendo, Atari, PlayStation, which
Oh,
I think the most I got was the Sega. All my friends had it, so I just went over there and played their
yeah,
video
yeah.
games.
The Sega's was one of the best consoles ever made, in my opinion. But you know,
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, for me, I would take Sega over Super Nintendo any day of the week. But that's that's
Well,
just
Nintendo had Duck Hunt.
that's fair. Well, I'm talking Super Nintendo. I'm not really.
I never had Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it's okay. No big deal. But
But it,
yeah, but during like the mid 2000s, it was there was a kind of a almost a changeover when it came to video games where it still had that stigma, and it was way bigger than it was now of, if you play video games, you're a loser. If you play video games, you're lazy. You don't, you probably stay home from work every day and play video games, or school, depending on how old you are. But like,
yeah, which people did.
and they did, but at the same time, there's so much good that can be with video games. I mean, take for instance, there are stories out there, and you could just Google a story about it, of elderly 80-year-old 90-year-old people playing video games and have been playing video games for a very long time, and they actually agree that if it wasn't for video games, their mind wouldn't be as sharp as it was. And it's like anything else. You work out your body, right, to get muscles, right? So why not work out your brain too, to keep it going? So for me, I think there, and I'm not a doctor. I only play one on the radio. But
Yeah. I stayed at a Holiday Inn last night.
that's right, yeah. But for me, like, there's just so much that goes with it. The dexterity, like I said, the hand-eye coordination, everything like that, problem solving. It doesn't have to be, because there's games out there that are very bloody and and brutal and stuff like that, but then there's also very educational games, you know what I mean, that it doesn't have to be that. You just have to parent your kid and to
Well,
not
I think
play Grand Theft Auto, which is, don't
exactly.
I love Grand Theft Auto, but I'm 37. You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay.
Laura still has to watch you on those.
No, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
One thing that we look at, and what people may not know, is if you really, like you talked about, you Googled this, a lot of these games have tournaments
Yeah.
that, I mean, they're huge. Like, I know I remember one, and I can't remember what video game it was, is they had 10,000 people in Vegas playing this game.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about esports. You're talking about like competitive.
All those, any type, the basketballs, the Mads. I'm talking any game that has a tournament. I mean, there's a lot of them out there.
There was a recent Fortnite tournament where the winner won $3 million. If you're telling me that video games are not a big deal, you're absolutely wrong. Video games are surpassing other entertainment avenues, including movies. So like we're at the age where video games will be king. We're at the precipice. I feel like we're almost there, if not we're there already. And
so when someone asks what's your occupation, do you say gamer?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I made money, like actually like made money playing games, then yeah, I would say that for sure.
Won't you make money from playing video games?
I usually don't.
Yeah. I suck at them too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's not that I'm bad at video games, but I just don't. I don't play tournaments. I'm not that good. How's that? That's.
I remember playing. Oh, what's the game that you're on fire? The NBA game, the NBA hoops game. NBA Jam.
He's on fire.
You're on fire. Yeah, like you would just play each other, and then you just talk crap, and you're all in the same room. And it was just one of those. And those were the days. And we talk about this because I think you hit a good point. This isn't just something that you do on the side. This is people. Some of these are people's lives, and the gaming industry is just getting bigger and bigger every year. And I was doing some research, and I found that this pandemic has increased the gaming 3 to 5 years ahead.
Yep.
So if there wasn't a pandemic, we probably would have been 3 to 5 years from increasing, because people were buying the games, were playing the games, and also a lot of the companies actually moved up some games from November and December to like March and April, because that's when they were closing down everything. So you saw a lot of that moving around too.
Oh yeah. I probably bought more games during the pandemic than I think I ever have in my life. But I'm probably not alone when I say that, just because, like I said, people were just trying to figure out things to do. They were bored. You know what I mean? So if you're sitting at home, you may as well. That's what I say. Jump in, man. Jump in. That's what.
So
recently, last year, they just released the PlayStation 5. So the next, and of course the Xbox Series X as well. And those games are 4K gaming. We're it's so funny because back in the day, like I remember buying a 720p TV at Sam's Club for like, oh my god, I think it was like $1,400 or something.
Yeah, $1,000 or $4. Yeah, exactly.
Easy number. And now you can get a 4K television, a smart TV 4K television for like
$500.
Yeah, like, so you could see where it's come and where it's gone. And when it comes to high quality frames per second, that's like a big thing. 30, 60 frames. The more frames, the better, obviously, because then it'll look smoother. And they get to the point where you're playing 60 frames per second. And if you play something like Madden, like you mentioned, or MLB The Show, or a sports game, I'm just going to talk about that. When in 4K, like, you can actually fool people in thinking that it's real. Like, I mean, to a point, obviously,
right.
Video game aspect to it, but like there's a story out there. I think it was last year or something like that. But somebody broadcasted a UFC fight, like a live UFC fight on their Twitch account, which is completely illegal. Like, you can't do that. But they fooled the computer and telling the computer that it was actually the UFC video game. So when the computer sees it, then it was just like, okay, this looks like a video game. So he was actually broadcasting it live, and like, obviously that's stupid, illegal. No one should do that, and I'm not telling anyone to do that. But like,
disclaimer.
Yeah, right. But all I'm saying is, like, the games look so good. It's so amazing, and I'm not talking about like, like the faces or whatever. Like, I mean, yes, I am talking about that too, but like, even the scenery. There are some times where I'm playing games where I just stop and look, because it's like, it's gorgeous. Some of these games are so gorgeous. There's so many hours that go into game creating. People don't understand what goes into game creating.
Well, and I think the funny part is people may think that these games are $100 to $200. Some of them are $5.99 subscription that every month, it doesn't cost you $60 a year, and it's or you buy it one time for $5.99 and download the app, and then what they get you is when you want to buy tokens or equipment on the game itself. And that's kind of
or downloadable content is what DLC stands for. But it's kind of crazy, right? Like, there's so much. I mean, like, because people buy skins, which is like a different clothing or a hat or whatever.
A mulligan for golf,
or you can buy a mulligan, sure, whatever. But like, yeah, like, it's kind of insane how. But there's so much money, and like, even the littlest things, like, to buy a hat for, you mentioned for like a PGA game, right? You buy a hat, right, and it costs you $1.99 in real life, right? Well, 37,000 other people bought that hat too. You know what I mean? So if you think about it, like, there's so much money that goes into one little thing. You would think, one little thing is no big deal. Maybe you won't buy it. Maybe I won't buy it, but I'm telling you, 37,000 other people will, so it's like,
and it adds up. That's $60,000 in 15 seconds.
Yeah. 50, right. So, like, I mean, and that's for a hat, or whatever it is. So,
well, and kind of, we look at these games and as they develop and make it more real. I mean, you're even starting to see 8K movies that look and seem almost real.
It's amazing. Isn't it like, when you watch a 4K movie today and you think about what you used to watch, and if you remember what we used to watch, what we used to say, man, this looks great. Right?
Look at that scenery.
We didn't know any better. You know what I mean? So like when the 720 came out, when that came out on the scene, or even the 480, when the 720 came out on the scene, it was like, look at this detail. And then all of a sudden 1080 came out and you're like, wow, it's better than that. And then the 4K comes out and you're like, God, I mean, your mind is blown. You're like, I didn't even know it could look any better than it does. And you know what? We're not done yet, or they're not done
Right.
either.
Well, I think another thing you look at, it's like going to Disney when the ride Avatar came out. It is the most real. I mean, you smell it, you feel it, I mean, it's just insane. And then when you watch,
what do they call rides? 4D, when you could smell and feel things. Yeah, it's like 4D or whatever. Yeah,
my wife says we're going on the ride, and so I go on the ride.
that's good. Good husband. That's weird.
Yeah, it's what you learn over the years
That's
from
right.
some help.
Yeah, absolutely.
We look at a lot of different things. What seems to be kind of the challenging things of the gaming industry,
If personally or just like in general?
just in general?
Y- You know, it's I think it's a lot has to do with getting those people that have such a negative stigma on the games to not have that anymore, and to embrace it, and to really see the good that's behind it. Granted, like I said, there's a lot of games that are bloody, and there's a lot of games that are sexual, you name it. But for saying that, like, if you don't want your kids to play that, then don't buy them that game, or get the game, play it yourself, see if it's something that it's okay with them. Like there's so I think one of the biggest challenges is getting past that stigma of, you're a nerd, you're a loser, you're a, and more embracing to the point of it's more going to help more people than it's actually going to hurt more people. It's going to keep you sharp. It's going to keep you active. It's going to keep you, doing things, whether, just sitting there by yourself, but that's okay. I mean, I know people that can sit down and read books for like 4 or 5 hours at a time. No one calls that lazy, right? Because they're like, oh, well, they're reading, they're doing something. But if I play 4
That's
hours,
a talent that God gave them.
you're right. But if I play a video game for 4 hours, I'm a loser. I'm why would I waste that time? But I don't feel like I'm wasting it. I feel like I'm like almost harnessing the power, if you will. I mean, but then again, that's probably the way people feel when they read books, because they get the feeling, they get the emotion, right? So my question to you is, what is the difference? Like
Yeah, I mean that could be something that definitely does say that on all forms of questioning.
Yeah.
We look at some of the challenges, but we also look at the future of gaming. What are some of your thoughts of where the gaming industry will go?
Oh man, it's it's weird because it's almost no telling. There, it could go in any which direction. When it comes to, we mentioned earlier, VR, virtual reality. I mean, with the amount of technology that it's advancing right now as we speak, with VR, that could be the future. I say could, just because I don't know the future. I wish I did, but I'm telling you right now, when it comes to that, I would say VR is definitely something to look forward to in the future. When it comes to gaming, I said earlier, when you're talking about like an old TV, you're like, man, that looks really good, until we see the good, right? Well, we have seen some pretty good even in the past year. I mean, we have consoles using solid state drives, which was like a dream to have one in your computer, your laptop. Now to have one in a console, I mean, going from Atari to PlayStation 5 is like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like building the Empire State Building or setting up a tent. I mean, that's really the two different comparisons. So
We're playing Oregon Trail on a 64 Commodore.
yeah, right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, your Commodore. Remember that? Yeah. I actually have your old Commodore.
Oh, jeez. My dad. Oh, I don't even. Yeah, you probably have Oregon Trail on it too somewhere.
He was like, here, and I was like, oh, sweet. I've never owned one before, so now I have your old one, which I've never hooked up yet, and I will at some point. My brother, actually, Larry, my brother, wants to know about it too. He's like, you should definitely hook it up. Well, it's funny because he actually remembers playing that, but I don't really remember playing that. I was too young for that. Like that
Oh, 4 years, yeah.
probably 3 or 4. You know what I mean? I don't really remember a lot of that. Like I don't remember gaming until I was like 5, 6, 7 years
Well,
old.
you do remember football in the living room or the
Well,
family room.
that's not video games, but yes, I do, of course.
It's close enough. We were just acting out Tecmo Bowl.
That's fair, but then again, we did that from when we were 3 or 4 to when we were probably 18. So
I think I was in college during
yeah,
holidays, and we
oh
just
yeah,
I'm surprised we didn't break any ankles or anything.
our knees. Yeah, we usually played on our knees, right? Like that
Ugh.
was in the living room. Oh, can you imagine doing that today? We would rip our knees apart.
I would be like, I'm falling and I can't get up.
Up, yeah.
We talk a little bit about the future. So where's GameFix going in the coming? I mean, you guys have been becoming bigger and bigger
Mm-hmm.
over the years. Any events coming up? I know we had the pandemic, but do you guys plan on doing any conferences or anything like that in the future?
We did a bunch of Comic Cons before the pandemic, and for us, it's a good opportunity to get interviews, talk to people, whatever, and we did panels, at said Comic Con. So that was different exposure for us. Right now, once the pandemic is kind of subside and everything like that, we've actually been in talk with a certain bar in the area. I'm not going to go there because we haven't made any deal yet. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet, but we want to do some live shows there. So we would broadcast our show live, maybe once a month. I don't know. We're still kind of throwing around ideas.
Have a drink in your hand of water.
Sure. Or yeah, you know what? It's my business. I could drink beer if I want to when I'm on the air. I don't care. So I guess that's the beauty of of your own business, right? Well, So yeah. I mean, although if I'm doing something for a client, I'm probably not going to be drinking then. So how's that?
Well, I think it's all in what the relationship you have with them.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's at a bar.
You can drink water at a bar.
I can drink beer at a bar too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say, yeah, like you said, the future and us. I mean, we want 1 million downloads an episode. That's what we want. We're not anywhere close to that. But it's something.
900,000.
Yeah, that close. Yeah, it's something that we really, I have a vision. I have a very, and I want this to be bigger than we are. Although me doing it in my office, as everyone, all the viewers and listeners can see here, it's comfortable. I could do it from my home. I mean, there's nothing better than that, and there's nothing better to me than to talk video games. That's what I love. That's my passion.
And it's funny you say that, because technology has changed so much just in the pandemic to do stuff like that. You're able to be anywhere in the world to do an interview. I had a guy from Finland, and we did a live show. So it just depends on that and just where you want to be.
Yeah. It's a good point.
So, Dave, I appreciate you taking time. If people want to find Game Fix Show, where do they find you?
The best place to do is probably our website, gamefixshow.com. You can actually see all our social medias, our Patreon, everything is right there. You can kind of see. We've interviewed a bunch of different voiceover celebrities and even a couple of actors, the actual movie actors in there. So you can kind of go and peruse that. My other podcast, we really didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I'll mention it. No, it's fine.
Go ahead.
It's called the Mortal Kombat Minute, and it consists of we talk about the 1995 flick Mortal Kombat, the original 90s Mortal Kombat movie. And what we do is every episode, and we actually are finished with it. We're thinking about doing more with something else. But what we did is every episode was roughly 10 to 20 minutes long. And we talked about 1 minute of the movie at a time. So the very first episode is the very first minute of the movie. The second episode is the second minute of the movie, and so on and so forth. So, so there was like 90 some episodes, which was awesome. It was so much fun. In order to do each episode, I had to watch 1 minute of each of the film that we actually cut up in 1 minute increments. So it'd be easier to talk about it that way.
And then you have to watch it 35 times to catch everything.
Oh yeah, like I couldn't even tell you how many times I watch each minute, because I saw a background, maybe something written in Chinese or Japanese or something like that like I'll try to translate, like maybe who knows, it could have said hot dog for all we know, like we don't know. So
and you hear movies hiding stuff in.
Oh yeah, little Easter eggs throughout.
One was Game of Thrones. They had a Starbucks cup.
Well, that was a mistake. That
Still, it was close enough.
Yeah, that was a mistake. But you understand what I'm talking about. It's funny, but the term Easter egg, when it came to like an extra thing, actually began with video games. So there you go. So if someone says, "Oh, did you see that Easter egg?" It's actually that's a term derived from video games. So there you go. Also, okay, so yeah, there's that. So like I said, Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat Minute, the easiest way to find that is mortalkombatminute.com. Let's make it simple for everybody. On that website you can see the social medias as well, so you can click on that. And what did I miss? I said gamefixshow.com, whatever. Although real quick, looking forward, this is going to be a very exciting season for the Browns. Can we talk Browns?
Yes, we can talk Browns.
A little bit. I'm not when it comes to stats or anything. I'm not a stat guy. I'm just a fan. I love my Browns. It's a team that I've definitely come to love even more, even working with them. You sometimes you think that when you work for them, you kind of lose that. You become not a fan anymore, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm excited every time I go, and I'm excited every time they win. And it looks like this year we might get a few more of those.
Well, I think it will be a challenging season because we have a harder schedule. And one thing, 17 games, Arizona Cardinals were added. And
them rats.
Yeah. Well, about a couple months ago, we talked a little bit about that earlier about our pregame show. We had a Cleveland Browns pre-draft show, and I had Felix Wright from the former Cleveland Browns. I had Mike McLean, who was a Browns beat reporter for 30 years. I had Gary, who was a Brown enthusiast that knew his Browns. I had Dana Balish, who was sports director for 25 years with that covered the Browns. So
heck, I remember watching Dana when I was a kid. So
I think Dana's been around a long time. I think he's been over 30 years, and we talked a lot about what happened in 2020, the free agency, how they have just taken the defense by storm. And I think we also looked at the Browns offense was ranked in the top 10 on pretty much passing and receiving, and just everything going on.
If you think about it, when you look at the current state of the Cleveland Browns right now, it's actually amazing because, for years, what we're used to is a new coach, a new quarterback.
And we talked about 3 coaches in like 3 years,
or how whatever that that jersey with all the names of all the quarterbacks. This is like one of the first years in a long time, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but over 20 years at this point, that they still have the same 11 guys starters on offense that they did the year before. Not to mention same coaches. So
and I think the head coach Stefanix has done a heck of a job. His coaching staff is one in a million, and I think it showed when they played Steelers, when they lost 4 coaches to COVID, and you got your third, fourth assistant coach being the head coach, and you beat the Steelers at the Steelers.
Yep, pretty cool. It's a pretty cool feeling.
Well, and I think that a lot of the credit goes also to their offensive line coach, Bill Callahan. Absolutely. If I said that right, he's got 40 years of experience and had a different guy every game go down.
Yeah. I mean, injuries are, it's just one of those, that's.
But it was constant.
Yeah, it was. It's weird because back in a couple of years ago, you saw a lot more injuries, and it really For me, at least, in my opinion, that really, I think that reflects more on the coaching, just because, like, I played sports, and if a coach didn't care what you were doing was wrong, and you did it, and you got hurt, well, that's on them. You know what I mean? So, not to say that they didn't tell them not to do something or whatever, but like, I for me, I think a lot is like it kind of goes hand in hand. Is really, so. Yeah, it's just amazing. What an amazing off season we've had, and at this point, it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, and
Jadavion
then
Clowney?
about a month ago, they picked up Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward on 5th-year options. So
options, which is
I'm
great.
just concerned. I'm just concerned. Maybe not next year, but the year after. What will happen with the salary cap? Because we got a lot of people that will just look differently.
Yeah, it's fair. It's hard to argue that. It's really hard to argue that. Although I think for most people that are Browns fans, I wouldn't really concern yourself too much about that. I think you should just look forward to this season and let's just go from there. I mean, heck, we don't know. We don't know anything. Knock on wood, but first game, somebody really important could get hurt. So, and that's very.
Oh, you said it.
It's fine. But that's the game. You know what I mean? So there's never going to be a year where nobody gets hurt. Somebody, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or what's the old saying? You could play hurt, but you can't play injured. Everyone plays hurt. Everyone.
Right. Well, as they said at the Browns, one guy goes out, the next guy steps up.
Next guy up. Exactly.
Right.
So,
and I think they got a great philosophy going on over there. They're doing a great job, and we hope to see them continued talking with Felix and talking with some of the staff a couple months ago. So we're talking with the Browns. We've talked a little bit about them, and we hope to wish them the best of luck. And I mean, training camp is just right across.
Training
right around the corner. Honestly, if they allow people.
I don't really care about that, but between us, I hate training camp. Oh my god, I hate it.
Oh yeah, between us, yeah, it's gonna be aired. Yeah,
right. Between us, yeah. But like, it only because I don't like to watch training. I'm a fan. Like, you know me, I'm a fan. You're a fan. I don't like to go watch training camp because, like, what do I see? I see, Baker Mayfield throw a touchdown, right? And then the crowd that's there gets all crazy, right? They're like, yeah, touchdown. Well, your defense just let them score a touchdown, right? Like, so it feels like you're rooting against it, or the other way around. Baker Mayfield throws an interception, and you're like, yeah, good catch, whoever intercepted it. But Baker Mayfield just threw an interception. So it's like, to me, it's like you're rooting against the other guy. And I don't know. It's just a weird feeling when I'm there. I get how important it is, but for me, I hate watching it.
Well, it was funny because I think Baker Mayfield said it, I think I don't know, maybe right in the beginning of January, February, after the season was over. He goes, and they were saying, and after he was happy that he didn't have to learn a new
offense,
new offense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it was like three out of the last 5 years. He's had 3 new coaches, 4 offensive coordinators. We have more. I mean, yeah, we are where we are, and one day at a time.
This is going to be a different season, a different look, because we're going to see a quarterback that isn't just working on plays and making sure he gets his steps right, to actually working on, throwing, timing. There's so much that he's going to do this year that we're going to be like, wow, he never did that before. At least that's what I think is going to happen. And
we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
But we're excited. Dave, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. I can call you Tony. Everyone else calls you Anthony, but
Yeah. Hey, we'll see each other in weeks anyway. So this is our way of recording this now.
Well, thanks, cuz I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on and talking about the gaming industry, because I think people don't realize how big it really is.
Yeah. My personal Twitter is @DaveSpa57. So
there you go.
Because of the Browns, the radio station, I have a little blue check mark, so that's an easy way to find me.
There you go. So at the end of each show, you're verified.
I'm verified. Yeah.
At the end of each show, I like to have some fun with my guests. You know, for
Sure.
a little fun on some questions. So
I
any answer can be personal
fun.
or
No,
yeah, you probably do.
yeah, let's do it.
Uh, the answer can be professional or personal, your choice. It doesn't really matter. So here we go. Best accomplishment.
Wow.
Yeah, harder questions than before, huh?
Yeah, best accomplishment. I honestly, I would have to say getting the job with the Browns for me. I mean, I would something that I worked for a long time, and to try to do something within the sports industry. And I did a few things part time here and there before that, but actually getting the job. I'm one of 32 people in the world that have this job, so it's a pretty cool feeling. I always look at it like that, because for me that makes it feel bigger than it probably really is, because I get a thrill when Jim says my name after every broadcast. That's I can't lie. I love hearing that.
Especially when we used to hear it when you were younger up in Java Jim. I forget who up at downtown Cleveland. Java Joel.
Yeah, Java. Yeah. He would always, like, but I was Spano back then, even though
Yeah.
yeah, even though people call you Spano, but it's weird because never mind.
We just live in different regions.
Right, but when we're together and someone says, "Hey, Spano," like,
we both look.
Your wedding, we're both like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, they're talking to you. I'm Dave." Okay, I get it. All right, cool.
Yeah, it's funny like that. Best memory.
Best memory. Backstage at Music as a Weapon tour. It was the band was No One. It actually, literally, the name was No One. It was Chevelle. It was Taproot and Disturbed. And not only did I go backstage, but I met every band member of each band, and I got to watch the show from the stage. That was by far one of my best memories. Yeah, by far.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Going to London is up there. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Free trip to London was pretty awesome. But for me as a kid, just being there, like texting a friend, they're like, "Hey man, we're in section 305. Where are you?"
And you just take a picture and send it to him.
It's funny. He was like, "Where are you at?" I was like, "I just picked up the lead guitarist's pick and handed it to him." Like that. Like that's what that actually happened. Oh, you know what? There is one other thing I wanted to mention.
Oh boy.
How about a funny thing that happened to me? A funny, outrageous thing that probably wouldn't happen to normal people. How about that?
Okay.
I was at a Browns broadcast a Monday night after a Sunday game. We used to do a broadcast at House of Blues in the Cambridge room. It was like, whatever. And when we were done, we parked in like the back, like employee parking area. Just because they gave us a spot, so we're like, heck yeah, let's take advantage. So we would have to roll our equipment out in the back, So the usual people won't walk through those doors, obviously, So, but this particular night, there was a performance. It was who's the guy? He's R&B star. Oh my god, he's so good.
That helps.
Yeah. His wife is Chrissy Teigen. I can't remember his name.
Oh, John Legend.
John Legend. Thank you. I couldn't remember John Legend's name. Anyway, I'm embarrassed, but I digress. So it was a John Legend concert that night. So, but keep in mind, I was doing a Brown show like somewhere else in the building, right? But the
building's huge.
Right. But there was a John Legend show happening in the
next
concert
room.
Yeah, the next room, right? And as I'm leaving, I'm actually talking to one of my interns. His name is Clay, actually, and actually he works at the radio station I do today. So it's just crazy because this was like 15 years.
You're
ago.
My intern.
Yeah. Right? To give you an idea of when it was the second year LeBron was in the NBA. Okay, so second year in the NBA, right? So he's like what? 20 years old, 22, 21, something like that.
Right. No, he was 18 when he went to the NBA.
He might have been 19, 20, whatever it was, but bigger than I am, whatever, doesn't matter. But so anyway, as I'm leaving, I'm distracted. I'm talking to my intern. We were just kind of chatting, whatever. and I go and open the door, and when I opened the door, I ran into a wall. And it wasn't a wall. The wall had a name, and his name was LeBron James. I stepped on his foot. I remember just because I didn't see him. He was just there when I opened it, and
he's about 6'5", and you're
I'm 5'8" on a good day, 5'9". And he actually catches me, grabs me by both of my arms like that, right? And looks down at me, and he goes, "You all right, little buddy?" I never forget. That's what he said to me. And I remember I looked up at him, and I just said, "Yeah, LeBron, are you okay?" Because like in my head, I was like, I just broke LeBron James' toe. I need to move out of Cleveland, or you know what I mean? 'Cause at that point, like LeBron was like the biggest thing.
And then you could have came back to Cleveland after he went to Miami.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but in this, and I didn't hurt him, and he was fine, and it was all good. But like, yeah, that was an interesting little experience that I wouldn't have had if I didn't do what I did for a living. So yeah, that was
Okay.
Go ahead.
Best experience. Was that your best experience?
Yeah, let's just go with that one. Yeah.
Okay. Who's your role model?
Wow. My role model would have to be probably my first boss that I had. His name's Jeff Addis. He's retired now. Actually, he's the one that pretty much taught me everything I know about live broadcasting engineering. So yeah, when he was in the industry years before I was, obviously, and actually an ex-cop, retired, became a radio guy, a radio engineer. Who would have thought, right? But yeah, and we're still friends to this day. Although I don't work with him anymore, but he's retired. But yeah, his name's Jeff Addis. Good guy.
Okay. And then the last one, if there was one person you would want to meet, past or present,
Like
who would it be and why?
I think like what people usually go with is like Abraham Lincoln or something.
No, I have gotten a variety of names.
It's funny. It's weird because like I've met a lot of people in my career. I've met wrestlers. I've met movie stars. I've met music performers. You name it. So like for me, it's really kind of hard because I'm not starstruck when it comes to anybody. Really,
weren't you starstruck? Weren't you starstruck when you met your wife?
I wasn't starstruck. I was in love.
Okay.
Is that fair? I don't know. I'm just hoping she listens to it so she hears that anyway. But no, I would have to say. Wait, what was the? And I'm thinking of something else. What was the question? I'm sorry.
This is how we go. This is the Spanos. If there was one person you'd want to meet, past or present.
Gotcha. No, okay. For me, it would be the Beastie Boys, just because I'm a huge fan. I've always been a fan ever since I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, one's gone, but the other two are still alive, and that would be my. I would be starstruck by that. But without a doubt, I'm telling you right now. Like I'm actually getting like nervous talking about it. But like, if I ever met any of the Beastie Boys, for me that would be amazing. That would be.
Hold that thought. I'm bringing the Beastie Boys on now. No.
Yeah, right. I mean, hell, I Bernie Kosar is actually. It's funny. I can actually say Bernie Kosar is a good friend of mine. He, because I see him every game. He comes in. What's up, Dave? How you doing? Like, I mean, it's awesome.
A Boardman, Ohio graduate, Youngstown area, born and raised.
Mm-hmm. And I will drop another name too. Recently passed, but obviously, if it wasn't for radio, I wouldn't have gotten to meet him. But Michael Stanley. Which was amazing because like when I was a kid, I just remember listening to him, my mom playing it, like cleaning and
you're gonna wear a Michael Stanley shirt too.
Right, I was going to, but like it's so funny because like it started with just kind of like a fandom, kind of like oh, the Michael Stanley band. Oh yeah, I know him. He's pretty cool. My parents have met him. That's kind of where I was at. But then like the circle almost became complete because I actually started working with him. So it was actually pretty awesome, and I miss him. I miss him every day. But it's crazy because I didn't see him for an entire year because of COVID, and obviously it's pretty bittersweet because I was looking forward just talking with him again, and yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
It is. It is what it is.
What an amazing guy that was, and I'm so glad I got a chance to talk to him about different stuff. And I won't talk to you about what stuff we've talked about, but but I have that, and that's for me. And but it was that.
If you want that, you can buy it at Patreon at
Yeah.
Fix Show Podcast.
I'll tell you all about it. Yeah.
Well, Dave, I appreciate you taking time. It's always fun to talk with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. If you'd like to see more info, podcasts, or interviews, please go to anthonyvspano.com. Everyone, stay safe, God bless, and enjoy.